What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cab Show. NCAA football week 5, baby. Let's go. Take off Notre Dame. This is their biggest game of the season right here, right now. Shout out to Brian Kelly. Look, I didn't give him credit when he first came in to Notre Dame. I really was bashing him. Really said trade him back in like 2017. That time, I was definitely way off left field when I said that. Now look at Brian Kelly. Broke Notre Dame's all-time winning record. He understands that he doesn't have a national championship. We get all that. But look, Brian Kelly, he's going to be ready for this game. He used to coach Cincinnati Bearcats before for 3 years before he went to Notre Dame. So I think Notre Dame's going to be really ready for this game, and it starts with Jack Cohn. He will be back. He will be healthy. Is he going to be 100%? That's the question. We saw what the backup did last week versus Wisconsin. Really torched them. But look, Jack Cohn, he's the guy. 9 touchdowns, only 2 picks this year. For Notre Dame, this is going to be great. They're going to have to play on their A game 100% because Cincinnati's no joke, and that starts with their star quarterback, Desmond Ryder. 7 touchdowns, 2 picks. This kid was good last year as well. I mean, we could even see him play on Sundays. I know it sounds crazy, maybe not a starter, maybe like a backup player, come in for like a, wildcat play, something like that. But this guy can really throw, though. That's the thing, and he can break it out. There's certain games where he looks spectacular. Then other games it looks kind of average. But I think for Cincinnati, they're coming into this game favorites. Now that might switch, here after, leading up to the game, 5-10 minutes before the game. But 2 points right now is the spread for Cincinnati. They are favorites going into Notre Dame. I think that's disrespect to Notre Dame. We saw what they did last week. 5 turnovers on that defense, and really, a lot of them were picks. I mean, all of them were picks. So I think Notre Dame's going to be ready. Kyron Williams, the running back for Notre Dame, he's going to have to be ready, step out on the field, and be ready for this game. I cannot wait. In Notre Dame, they know that, hey, this is a playoff game, because if we lose this game, our season is over. We don't get into the playoffs. So Notre Dame, if they win this game, this is their most important game right now. If they win this game, they can win out their schedule. Their schedule isn't too bad, right? I mean, Stanford, they're not really that good this year. USC's overrated. There's some cupcake games, really, for Notre Dame after this game. So this is no cupcake game. For Cincinnati, it's like for Desmond Ryder, he's going to have to play a near-perfect game. No turnovers. He's going to have to throw like 3 or 4 touchdowns. Jerome Ford, their running back, he's got 6 touchdowns on 300 yards this year. I think for him, he's got to stick to the running game as well. I just think for Cincinnati, you don't want to become one-dimensional against Notre Dame because Notre Dame will torch you. And vice versa for Notre Dame. I just think Notre Dame, they're hitting their peak at the right time. They're hitting their flow. Whereas back in week 1 against Florida State, they were just out of sync, playing just differently. I think now they're really flying to the ball, and I like Notre Dame in this pick. I'm not just picking them because I love Notre Dame. I really think Notre Dame's going to handle business here, and it starts with their defense, putting pressure on Desmond Ryder. They got to put pressure on him, because if they don't, to sit him back, he's going to toss, really have a heyday for against Notre Dame. So, they're putting up 43 points a game for a reason. They can score. So Notre Dame, they got to put pressure on him and continue to do it throughout the whole game. I don't care if you're up 2 or 3 touchdowns. You continue to be aggressive for Notre Dame. But for Brian Kelly, I think they get the dub. I'll take Notre Dame. I'll even give you guys points since Cincinnati's favorite according to Vegas. I would give you guys probably 3 or 4 points. And really just vice versa the script here. So I like Notre Dame. 50 and a half is the over under. I still go with Notre Dame. I would probably go with the over here. And a lot of experts would say, I don't know about that. Obviously I don't touch the over-unders, but I'm telling you, Notre Dame at home, this is a primetime game. Notre Dame understands this is a playoff potential game, so I like Notre Dame at home. Go Notre Dame. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Take off Notre Dame. Let's go. Then we got Iowa versus Maryland. I'm telling you, both undefeated, both 4-0. This is really a coin flip game, and this is not a duck walk for Iowa. If Iowa thinks they're going to go into Maryland and just get a little, easy win, they're wrong, because they are nice, man. I'm telling you what, dude. They can score at will. Their quarterback is a baller. Shout out to T. 1,340 yards passing, 10 touchdowns, only 1 pick. This guy can play, man. He reminds me a little bit of Tua, from Miami, mixed in with some like Jalen Hurts here and there. But I'm telling you what, this kid can play. I can't wait to see what they do for Iowa. Go back to your basics. Your defense only allowed 11 points a game this year. So I think going back to the defense, 3 points would have been crazy, right? But 11 points only given up. So Iowa, coming in as a better team. But do the better teams always win? No, not necessarily. And Tyler Goodson, he's going to have a heck of a game. This season he's had 80 carries, 364 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns. So I expect him and Spencer to really get in that groove here. So, but honestly, this could be an upset game. And I would love to see Maryland with the upset. But you know what? I'm going to go Iowa at 3. But I would not be surprised if Maryland gets an upset here. And I'm not even mad if I get this pick wrong. But, I got to go Iowa, Big Ten right now. But I'm telling you, Maryland, this is an upset alert game, 100%. But I'm going with Iowa. 48 is the over-under. I'll probably go with the over as well. But I like Iowa in this matchup. Then we got Arkansas versus Georgia. We saw last week Arkansas get a big win versus Texas A&M. But look, Georgia, the best defense in the country, only 6 points given up allowed. I mean, dude, it's crazy. And really, Georgia, they have the best defense. They have the best athletes on defense. They're flying to the ball everywhere. So therefore, I'm going to go with Georgia just by their defense. Now, would I take the 18.5? No, absolutely not. You guys should not take the 18.5 for Georgia. You guys should take the money line, Georgia. Huge difference. I just think, 18.5 is way too much. And we saw Arkansas, really, they can get hot. And that starts with KJ Jefferson, their quarterback. 844 yards passing this year with 6 touchdowns and 2 picks. Traylon Burks, he's got 19 carries, 373 yards and 2 touchdowns. I'm telling you what, dude, Arkansas can play. And I think this game's going to be really, really close towards the end of the game. But I think Georgia's going to pull out maybe like a 9-10 point victory over Arkansas. I just think, 18.5 is way too much, and that's really disrespect to Arkansas, because we see Arkansas, just the eye test, that they can play. They can play. They got the athletes on offense and defense and special teams, so they can play. So I like this matchup, but I got to go with Georgia because of their defense. I like the dogs in this matchup. Then we got Michigan versus Wisconsin. This could be an upset alert game right here, 100%. Wisconsin's 1.5 point favorites, which is crazy. After the last game we saw against Notre Dame, just torch Wisconsin, really just embarrassed them, right? And Graham Mertz, he's got 6 picks this year. I don't even know how he's starting right now. I think he should be riding the bench. You had your opportunities. You're not a freshman anymore. So I just think, bring in somebody else for Wisconsin, or, give him another shot. I just think, this year is not really a good year for him. For Michigan on their side, you have to understand Michigan hasn't really played anybody yet. They're not been battle tested. I think this is their first test. So really, this could be a coin flip game. I would love to see Michigan lose. I'm not a Michigan fan. Do I like Michigan? Absolutely not, dude. I think Michigan football program year in and year out is just like, hey, we're going to give them a lot of hype, but we know they're going to suck, okay? That's what the past 20 years in Michigan's been like, dude. I mean, seriously, like, I'm just, a spade is a spade, dude. Michigan is trash, but, me saying Michigan's trash, I got to go Michigan here. I think it's going to be close. Like I said, a lot of these games this weekend are so hard for me for college football because a lot of them are coin flip games. Whereas last weekend was really easy. Only got 2 wrong, but they were just like easy games, really. Like Michigan, Wisconsin, just such a toss-up. Who's going to have more turnovers this game? Who's going to play better at quarterback? Just stuff like that. Who's not going to fumble the ball, make mental mistakes? I think whoever makes the most mental mistakes in this game is going to lose, so it could be on both sides. But I'm going to go Michigan. 43.5 is the over-under. You guys can decide that, but I like Michigan at Wisconsin, barely squeaking by. And then we got Louisville versus Wake Forest. Wake Forest is 4-0 this year, which is crazy, right? They beat Virginia, they beat Florida State, and we're used to seeing Wake Forest 1-2 win game seasons, right? It's crazy to me to see Wake Forest this good, and that starts with their quarterback Sam Hartman, 961 yards passing, 9 touchdowns and 1 pick. He knows when to throw. He's got that good ball presence in the pocket. So you know what? I like Wake Forest over Louisville, which I never really thought I would, dude. At home, Wake Forest, probably known better for their basketball than their football. So I was just thinking, man, really? these cats, man, they can play. A.T. Perry, 17 receptions, 292 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I think, Wake Forest got a nice defense as well. Only 14 points allowed per game, which is great, dude. And they're putting up crazy numbers per game. So I like Wake Forest in this matchup. I just think Louisville, is one-dimensional right now. And that starts with their quarterback, Cunningham. It just, that's all him. I think he's going to have to get some help for Louisville to win this game. It can't just be him all game. So I like Wake Forest in a close one. I'll take them. And then we got Ole Miss versus Bama. Bama, 14.5-point favorites. Bama, like I said, number 1 team in the country. They are the best team. They are the team to beat week in and week out. It's just how it is, dude. And we can hate Bama and say they suck. We can talk shit about them. But at the end of the day, they're champions. They are champions, dude. And for the past decade, they've been dominating. Maybe even a little bit longer with Nick Saban. We saw Nick Saban go to Miami for a little bit to coach the Dolphins. Didn't really work out, but, came back to Bama and ever since hasn't looked back. And Bryce Young, dude, this kid is special. 15 touchdowns, only 1 pick. And it's crazy. We see Bama, they always get the best quarterbacks and the best running backs, it seems like, right, in the whole country. It's just automatic best quarterback, best running back. If they're not the best, they're in the top 3 of the country, year in and year out, which is crazy. And I think that's just Nick Saban, understanding the game, great IQ, learning from Bill Belichick when he was younger. So I just think, it's just a winning formula for Alabama. And I think Ole Miss is in for a big one. Matt Carroll, 997 yards passing and 9 touchdowns. I just think it's going to be a long road for Ole Miss. It really is. Ole Miss can put up points, over 52 points per game. But look, you're playing Bama here. This is a different breed, bro. This is a different cat you're going up against. So I just think, it's going to be a little closer than what we expect. But you know what? I'll take Bama at 14.5. I'll take the 14.5. It might move to 15, maybe even 15.5 come game time. But I like Bama. I like Nick Saban. Alabama's the team to beat. They're probably going to go undefeated and be number 1 team in the country yet again, and they'll be waiting in the playoffs for the 4 seed. So it's up for them. So Bama controls their own destiny. I like Bama. 79.5 is the over under. They're expecting this to be a high scoring game, which I don't really know. I think it's going to probably be a little bit under this, maybe in the 60s. But I like Bama at 14.5. I like that all day, every day. Then we got Oregon versus Stanford. Oregon's 8-point favorites in this matchup. I like it. Stanford's really not that good. Tanner McKee, he's got 8 touchdowns, 863 yards passing. Elijah Higgins, he's pretty nice, man. 16 receptions, 211 yards receiving, and 2 touchdowns. But their weakness, Stanford, is their defense. Giving up 27.5 points per game. That's just not going to cut it. I like Oregon in this matchup, and that starts with the quarterback, Anthony Brown. He's been balling out, 6 touchdowns. I'm telling you, they could just break it out. C.J. Verdell, 10 receptions, 148 yards receiving and a touchdown. They're putting up about 40 points per game, Oregon. It was crazy. We saw what they did, against Ohio State. They got the dub at Ohio State. So I think Oregon, they control their own destiny. They're the 3rd team in the country. They might even move up to 2 come the later weeks in December and January. So I like Oregon in this matchup at 8. I'll take Oregon at 8 all day. I'd even give you guys 11 or 12 in this matchup. But I expect Stanford to come out fast, though. I really do. I expect them to come out maybe an early lead, but Oregon's going to come back and really just blow them out. 57.5 is the over-under. I'd go with the over. I like Oregon at 8 all day. Then we got Oklahoma versus Kansas State. This is an upset alert game. Let me tell you right now. Why? Because Kansas State always plays Oklahoma great. And we see next week Oklahoma, they're playing Texas. Their hands are already going to be full. So I think for Oklahoma, Spencer Rattler, over 1,000 yards passing, 8 touchdowns and 3 picks. But, according to Mel Kiper, he's really dropped down in his quarterback rankings, which, I understand, first couple weeks did not look great. Really just ignored the first target, the first check down, trying to hit the Hail Mary every time. I just think quarterbacks nowadays, it's like, be patient. Be patient in the pocket. You can't always hit the home run ball every time. So I think Spencer Rattler, that'll just, come naturally eventually. But I think, he's got to have a big game here. You should not ever lose to Kansas State at Kansas State. So, I'm going to go Oklahoma at 11.5. I'm really not liking the 11.5, though. I don't know why. To me, it's going to be a little bit closer. Kennedy Brooks, 39 carries, 227 yards rushing, and 3 touchdowns. They're putting up about 39 points a game. So Oklahoma, I expect them to score high. I'd go with the over on this one, 52.5. and I like Oklahoma at 11.5. Kansas State, like I said, they got their hands full, but they can still play though. And Will Howard, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Deuce Vaughn, he's their main guy. So Oklahoma, they got to stop Deuce Vaughn. 75 carries, 393 yards rushing, and 5 touchdowns. 28 points per game, and it's through Deuce. So I think Oklahoma, they got to stop their key player, and I think they'll do that. And I think Oklahoma will come out victorious. I'm going Oklahoma. Then we got Ohio State versus Rutgers. Ohio State 15-point favorites. Look, Ohio State's not the same team this year, right? We say that because they lost 1 game, but for Ohio State, it's like you got to go undefeated. You got to. I mean, dude, you guys get the top 5, 3 and 5 recruits year in and year out. You guys are up there. Ohio State's in the top 5 every time, if not top 3. Bama, and another SEC school like Clemson or LSU, and then we see Ohio State in the mix. So I think Ohio State, they don't have their hands full. They're playing Rutgers. I expect Ohio State to come out guns blazing. 15 is a spread. I'll take that all day, dude. I'll take that spread. I just think for Rutgers, man, it's just, they're kind of one-dimensional in a way. I just think, for Ohio State, they're going to have to put it on, dude. They're going to have to. Like, show us something. It's going to be a long shot for them to get in the playoffs this year. It really is, because we got a lot of undefeated teams yet, and we can still see, like, an SEC one-loss team jump in front of Ohio State one-loss team. So I think for Ohio State, it's just continuing to get better and on to 2022. But I like Ohio State at 15. I'll take that spread all day. Then we got Florida versus Kentucky. Florida 7.5-point favorites. Florida kind of controls their destiny as well. They win out. They'll play a big game in the championship game, and then who knows? They could be a one-loss team into the playoffs as well. I mean, we saw them play against Bama. Actually played them great. Only lost by 2. Where a couple plays would have forced an overtime, which I thought would have been great, right? But Florida woulda, shoulda, coulda. But I think it starts with Emery Jones, and he proved to me that he's a big-time player, and big-time players make big-time plays, man. And this guy can do it. 4 touchdowns, 5 picks. He also has 57 carries on 376 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Hey, it goes through him. Everything, associates through Emery. So I think if he plays well and plays smart, doesn't throw in ill-advised throws, I like Florida all day in this matchup. I really do. I just think, Chris Rodriguez, the Kentucky running back, he's nice. 3 touchdowns, over 500 yards rushing. I think, Florida's got to stack it. Make Will beat you. The quarterback for Kentucky, make him beat you. 7 touchdowns, 5 picks, over 900 yards passing. So he can throw it, but I just think Florida's going to get in there and really handle business. I like Florida at 7.5. And this game could be a little bit closer than what we're thinking, but I like Florida. 56.5 is the over-under. I would go with the under in this matchup, but I like Emery Jones in Florida and Jacob Copeland, 10 receptions, 232 yards, and 2 touchdowns for Florida. I like him to get in the mix as well. So I like Florida Gators all day in this matchup at 7.5. Then we got Louisiana Tech versus NC State. We saw what happened with NC State upsetting Clemson. For me, it's just like, I can't believe that, right? I just never thought Clemson would lose to NC State of all teams, right? It's just crazy. But Devin Lurie, man, their quarterback for NC State, he's balling out this year. Over 1,000 yards passing, 10 touchdowns, only 2 picks. So he's coming out ready to play, man. And Knight, the running back, 58 carries, 377 yards rushing, and 2 touchdowns. I think NC State's got it in the bag. 18.5 is a little too much for me against Louisiana Tech. I think they're really disrespecting Louisiana Tech. Austin Kendall, 837 yards passing, 7 touchdowns, only 3 picks. So, Louisiana Tech can put up points. They can put up numbers, but I like NC State. Money line NC State. I just think 18.5 is a little too much. I like NC State, money line NC State, not 18.5. Then we got Mississippi State versus Texas A&M. Texas A&M 7-point favorites coming in this matchup, which makes sense. Lost to a big game last week to Arkansas, but, I really like Isaiah Spiller, man. This kid, we saw that big run against Arkansas, and I think, that's what they got to do. I think Zach's really got to break it up for Isaiah Spiller and really utilize that play action and go deep sometimes. I just think Texas A&M had the opportunities against Arkansas, but just didn't capitalize on them. Didn't take enough risk either. That's what I think with that. But I like Texas A&M. Will Rogers for Mississippi State, 1,454 yards passing, 11 touchdowns, and only 2 picks. man, let me tell you, dude, he can play. And this kind of what makes me think, man, this could be an upset game because Mississippi State can throw the ball, and they will throw it down the field, man. They really will. I mean, Polk, 33 receptions, over 300 yards receiving, and 2 touchdowns. Malik Polk, I'm telling you, I could see an upset alert game right here. It's just talking to me right now, the gut. But I'll go Texas A&M on this matchup. But I'm telling you, I might switch it last second to Mississippi State because of Will. This guy's a gamer. But I like Texas A&M right now. And then we got Baylor versus Oklahoma State. Both 4-0 teams coming into this matchup. And this is another coin flip. I mean, you flip a coin, heads or tails. Who's going to, play the better game, right? But we could say that. But I think really it boils down to time possession. Who's going to have the ball longer? Who's going to keep the offense off the field? And I think that's going to be the biggest thing here for Baylor. They're legit, man. Gary, man, their quarterback, he's nice. 7 touchdowns, over 100 yards passing. Abraham Smith, 57 carries, 413 yards rushing, and 5 touchdowns. So Baylor, man, they use that old school mentality sometimes. We're going to run the ball down your throat until you stop us, Oklahoma State. And really, Oklahoma State, is giving up about 20 points a game. So I think their weakness is their run defense. I really do. But they can put up numbers as well. Spencer Sanders, almost 600 yards passing with 4 touchdowns. Jalen Warren, 79 carries, 387 yards rushing, and 4 touchdowns. I think this is going to be a great game, but, Baylor could really upset him here. Obviously, I would probably go Oklahoma State because they're at home. The college teams play better at home, but I'm telling you what, Gary, if he has a breakout game, I like Baylor here, so I'm going to go with the upset in Baylor. Don't mark my words on this one because it's just so 50-50 here, but I'll go Baylor with the upset. Then we got IU versus Penn State. IU, man, really, the first opener, did not look good for Michael Penix Jr., but he's kind of turned it around. He's got 4 touchdowns, 6 picks, but I just think for IU, their hands are full this year. Not this year, yes, they're full this year, but I think this game, man, against Penn State, I just think Penn State, they're ranked 4th in the country. If today was the playoffs, they'd get in and play Bama right now. And we see Penn State, their eye test, man, they can play defense, man. I'm telling you right now, which is crazy, right? But Sean Clifford, 8 touchdowns, 2 picks, about 1,200 yards passing right now. Crazy, man. And Dotson, their star receiver, man. Shout out to Dotson. 27 receptions, 362 yards receiving, and 4 touchdowns. I think Penn State's going to break it out here and put it on IU. 12.5 is a lot. I think IU can really come out here and make some noise. And that starts with Michael Penix Jr. in the offensive line. If you guys give him time. And I think Michael Penix, we saw him against Ohio State last year, have the breakout game. So if Michael Penix has a breakout game tomorrow, I'm telling you what, dude, this is going to be super close, and I think 12.5 is a little too much, but I still got to go Penn State. They're the 4th-ranked team in the country. They beat Auburn, an SEC school, so they deserve more respect. So I'm going Penn State at home. 53.5 is the over-under. You guys can decide that. I don't really want to touch that, but I like Penn State at 12.5. Then we got Western Kentucky versus Michigan State. Michigan State, 10.5-point favorites at home. They're nice, man. They are really nice. Peyton Throne, 10 touchdowns, only 1 pick. They're really fundamentally sound. That's what Michigan State is. I don't think Michigan State's going to go undefeated in the Big Ten. No, I think, you got Iowa, you got Penn State. I think Penn State's the best Big Ten team right now, which is crazy, right? Kenneth Walker III, 76 carries, 554 yards rushing, and 5 touchdowns. Look, I expect Michigan State to put it on Western Kentucky. I really do. Bailey Zappi, I just, yes, he could throw the ball, 13 touchdowns, about 1,200 yards passing. Yes, they can throw, but, we have to understand Western Kentucky is not playing these star-studded teams, star-studded programs. I don't blame them. I really don't. But, look, I go Michigan State here. Big Ten at 10.5. I like that. And Western Kentucky's giving up 30 points per game. That's not cutting it. So I like Michigan State at 10.5. Then we got Boston College, 4-0. They're undefeated versus Clemson, which is crazy, right? Because Dabo Swinney, is it over for Dabo Swinney? Yes, this year it's over, but is his dynasty over in Clemson? Let's pump the brakes here. I would not get into that discussion yet. Really, to say it's over because he's had one bad season or maybe a couple bad games, a couple bad breaks here and there. I don't think it's over for Dabo Swinney and Clemson. No way. No way. I think they're going to get a star-studded quarterback quarterback this offseason, so I don't give up on Clemson. And I think Clemson, they need to win this game. If they do lose to Boston College, who is 4-0, so, it would be crazy, right? I just think, yes, it's over for them this year. We have to admit that 100%, dude. If they really do lose, it is over. It is. We already know it's over right now for them. But look, Dabo Swinney, he's an excellent coach. He's a champion. So I expect him to battle back. And I like Clemson against Boston College, man. I really do. And I just think, Boston College, yes, let's give them credit. They're just a fundamentally sounded team, dude. They do all the right things, don't really hold, don't false start that much, but I like Clemson at home, dude. Yes, Clemson's given up about 22 points a game, did not look good, man. Just a little shaking up here and there, but look, I gotta go Clemson at 14.5. I need Clemson to win. If they lose, Dabo Swinney, it's not looking good, but I like Clemson at 14.5. Then we got Auburn versus LSU. LSU 3-point favorites. It makes sense. They're at home. Max Johnson, their quarterback's been balling out. 1,144 yards passing with 15 touchdowns, only 3 picks. So yes, they can throw the ball. They can do all that. But hey, for Auburn, Bo Nix, man, 724 yards passing, 5 touchdowns. Tank Bigsby, man, for over 400 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns. I think Auburn's got to get into that rhythm again of running. They got to get into play action as well. And I think Auburn will win this game if they play great on offense. I really do. If Bo Nix plays well, only giving up 15 points allowed. So I think, Auburn, they have a better defense than LSU. That's why I'm going Auburn. It makes sense why LSU's favorite because, Max Johnson's balling out. They're playing at home. It's going to be a rowdy game. But I like Auburn, the way team, over LSU. And then we got Arizona State versus UCLA. UCLA 3-point favorites. Thompson Robinson, man, it starts with him. 9 touchdowns, over 900 yards passing. I really think it goes through him. Everything goes through him with LSU. Arizona State, Jaden Daniels, over 800 yards passing with 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. Rashid White, 55 carries, 256 yards rushing, and 6 touchdowns. I think they gotta get him into the mix as well. He's got to have a breakout game, over 100 yards rushing, to have a chance to beat UCLA in this game. 100%. I just think, for UCLA, they're putting up 39 points a game. I'm going UCLA. I just don't think Arizona State's going to stop them, even though they've only given up 16 points a game. So it's going to be definitely a matchup, a chess match. But I like UCLA at home to get the dub here and get it close, baby. But back to my Notre Dame Fighting Irish. This is the playoff game. This is the biggest game of the weekend. 100%. We could say Bama's playing a good game, whatever. Florida, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, all those teams. No, it's Notre Dame and Cincinnati. That's the biggest game of the weekend. I don't know why it's not College Game Day. I don't know why it's not a night game. I think it should be a night game, but I think Brian Kelly's going to have them ready. He has to have them ready. And you have to understand, Cincinnati Bearcats are going to come with really revenge for Brian Kelly, because Brian Kelly dipped out and he could have coached a bowl game against Florida, and he said, nope, I'm gone. I'm not even going to coach that game. Cincinnati ended up getting blown out of that bowl game against Florida, but Brian Kelly was already in South Bend by that time. So, just the way it just panned out, I think Cincinnati has a bitter taste. But I like Notre Dame in this matchup. I expect Notre Dame's defense to put pressure on Desmond Ryder and really give him problems. Get up maybe a pick 6 here and there. You never know. But I'm going with Notre Dame, baby. It's college football. It's the Cloudwood Cap Show. Let's go!